The door exploded inward at 2:17 a.m. Wood splintered. Metal shrieked. 4 officers in tactical gear flooded Maya's apartment, rifles raised, voices thundering commands she couldn't process through the shock. Hands. Show me your hands. She froze in her kitchen doorway, coffee mug still warm in her grip, wearing an old Georgetown t-shirt and sleep shorts. The mug slipped, shattered. Brown. Liquid spread across white tile like a stain she'd never wash. Out. Then one officer's flashlight. Beam caught the dark blue jacket hanging by her. Door. 3 yellow letters across the back. FBI, every gun lowered at once. Stick till the end. At 80% there's a reveal you won't see coming. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more true stories like this. 6 hours earlier, Maya Washington had learned to make herself small. She'd perfected it over 29 years, the art of taking up less space, speaking softer, smiling wider when white folks got nervous. Her mother had taught her. Her grandmother had taught her mother. Survival mathematics passed down like recipes. But tonight, driving home through Northwest D.C. in her decade-old Honda, she let herself feel big. The Henderson case had finally cracked. 3 years of dead ends, false leads, bureaucratic red tape, and Maya had found the thread that unraveled it all. A forensic accounting detail so subtle that 2 senior agents had missed it. She'd stayed late, triple-checking her work, then walked it to her supervisor's desk at 8 p.m. Say, Morrison had looked up from the file, reading glasses perched on his nose. This is solid, Washington, 4 words. From Morrison, that was a parade. Maya permitted herself a smile as she pulled into her apartment complex parking lot, turned off the engine, sat in silence for a moment, letting the wind settle into her bones. Her phone buzzed. Text from her little brother, Andre. Mom wants to know if you're coming Sunday. She's making your favorite. Maya typed back. Tell her I'll bring dessert. And tell her I might have good news about the promotion. She grabbed her work bag from the passenger seat, heavy with case files she probably shouldn't have brought home but did anyway, and headed for the building entrance. The Riverside apartments weren't fancy. Cracked sidewalks, peeling paint on the stairwell railings. But the rent was manageable on a GS-11 salary, and Mrs. Chen 2 doors down always saved her dumplings. Maya climbed to the 3rd floor, keys already in hand. She didn't see the man in the baseball cap watching from the parking lot, didn't notice the dark sedan with tinted windows idling near the dumpsters. She unlocked her door, stepped inside, flipped the deadbolt behind her. Safe. The apartment was quiet, too quiet. Maya had lived alone since her college roommate got married last year. Most nights she loved it. The freedom to blast Lauryn Hill at midnight, to spread case files across the coffee table without judgment. But sometimes, nights like this, when her brain was still buzzing from work, the silence felt heavy. She dropped her bag by the door. Hung her FBI jacket on the hook, the jacket they'd issued her after she completed training at Quantico 4 years ago. She'd been so proud that day. Her mother had cried. Her father, who'd passed when Maya was 15, would have been proud too. The jacket was more than fabric. It was proof. Proof she'd made it out of the neighborhood where 3 of her high school friends were dead before 25. Proof her scholarship to Georgetown hadn't been wasted. Proof that a black girl from Southeast could walk into the Hoover building every morning and belong there. Most days, anyway. Maya kicked off her shoes and padded to the kitchen. Poured herself a glass of water. Checked her phone, no new messages. Thought about calling her mother but decided against it. Too late, Mom would worry. She pulled out her laptop instead, settling onto the couch. Just one more look at the Henderson file. Just to be sure. The numbers danced across the screen. Shell companies, wire transfers, dates that lined up like dominoes. Maya's specialty was financial crimes. The invisible violence that happened in spreadsheets instead of streets. Most people found it boring. Maya found it beautiful. Numbers didn't lie. Numbers didn't care about your skin color or your gender or whether you smiled enough in meetings. Numbers just were. She was deep in a transaction log when her phone rang. Unknown number. She almost didn't answer, probably spam, but something made her pick up. Hello? Heavy breathing. Then a click. Maya frowned. Set the phone down. Wrong number, probably. She went back to her laptop. 10 minutes later, her phone rang again. Same unknown number. This time she didn't answer. Let it go to voicemail. No message. A small seed of unease planted itself in her stomach. Maya closed her laptop. Stood. walked to the window and looked down at the parking lot. Normal. A few cars. Sodium lights casting orange pools. Nothing out of place. She was being paranoid. Occupational hazard when you spent your days tracking criminals who laundered millions through dummy corporations. Maya poured herself coffee. Decaf. Because she still had to sleep eventually, and turned on Netflix. Put on an episode of The Great British Bake Show. Something soothing. Something that required zero mental processing. She was halfway through a technical challenge involving pastry when someone knocked on her door. 3. Sharp reps. Maya glanced at the clock on her. Microwave, 1:47 a.m. Who knocks at 1:47 a.m.? She muted the TV, stood slowly. Her service weapon was locked in the safe in her bedroom closet, per regulations for off-duty carry. She wasn't on call tonight. Wasn't expecting anyone. Who is it? She called through the door. No answer. Maya's pulse kicked up. She moved to the peephole, staying to the side, and looked through. Empty hallway. The fluorescent lights flickered, they always did, casting strange shadows. But no person. No one there. Maybe Mrs. Chen had knocked by mistake. The older woman sometimes got confused at night. Maya waited. Counted to 30. Looked through the peephole again, still empty. She returned to the couch, but she didn't sit. That seed of unease had sprouted into something bigger. She picked up her phone and pulled up Morrison's contact. Thumb hovering over the call button, and then she stopped. If she called her supervisor at 2 a.m. because of a prank call and a phantom knock, she'd look paranoid, emotional. Exactly the kind of thing that would make them question whether she was ready for the promotion to supervisory special agent. Maya set the phone down. She was fine. She was safe. This was a secure building with a locked entrance. She'd probably just spooked herself staring at case files for too long. She went to the kitchen, poured the rest of her coffee down the sink. Decided to try sleeping after all. In the bathroom, brushing her teeth, she noticed her hands were shaking slightly. Stop it, she told herself. You're fine. But when she climbed into bed, she kept her phone on the nightstand, within reach, and she didn't fall asleep for a long time. The door exploded inward at 2:17 a.m. Maya sat up so fast her head spun. Darkness, confusion, thunder in her ears. No, not thunder, something real, something violent. Light blinded her. Voices shouting, overlapping, aggressive. FBI. Search warrant. Show me your hands. Get on the ground. On the ground now. Maya's brain couldn't process it. Couldn't connect the dots. Men in her bedroom. Tactical gear. Guns. So many guns. She raised her hands on instinct. Muscle memory from the single time she'd been pulled over for a broken taillight when she was 19. Hands up, don't move. Stay alive, I'm a federal agent, she said, voice shaking. I'm FBI, there's been a mistake. On the ground. The officer closest to her was young, white, eyes too wide. Scared. Scared people with guns made bad decisions. I'm Agent Maya Washington. I'm with the Bureau. Check your paperwork. Now! She slid off the bed, hands still raised, moving slowly. Knees hit carpet. Her mind was racing, trying to understand. FBI raiding FBI? That didn't happen. Unless, oh God, unless they thought she was the criminal. More officers flooded her apartment. She could hear them in the living room, the kitchen, tearing through drawers, opening cabinets. Looking for what? Evidence, drugs, weapons. There's been a mistake, Maya said again, louder. I work at the Washington field office. Check with Supervisory Special Agent Morrison. He's my supervisor. Please, quiet. An older officer entered her bedroom. Salt and pepper hair, weathered face, the look of someone who'd done this 1,000 times. He glanced at Maya on the floor, then at the younger officer. She armed? No weapon visible, sir. Then get her up. Living room. They hauled Maya to her feet, not gently, and marched her out. Her apartment looked like a hurricane had hit it. Books pulled from shelves. Couch cushions thrown. Her work bag open, files scattered. The Henderson files. Maya's stomach dropped. They sat her on a kitchen chair. The older officer stood in front of her while others continued searching. He pulled out a folded document, the warrant, she assumed, but didn't offer to let her read it. Maya Elizabeth Washington? Yes, but I'm age 29. Employed at the FBI Washington field office. Yes, which is why this is insane. I'm a special agent. Check my credentials. They're in my bag by the door. Badge number JC47821. The officer's expression didn't change. We know who you are, Ms. Washington. Ms. Not Agent. That told her everything. Then you know this is a mistake, Maya said. She kept her voice level, professional, even though her heart was trying to punch through her ribs. Whatever you think I did, we have credible evidence that you've been accessing classified files without authorization, leaking sensitive information to outside parties, possibly accepting payment for said information. The words hit like bullets. Maya stared at him. That's not true. That's not, I would never. We also have evidence of unusual financial activity, large cash deposits, offshore accounts. What? No, I don't have offshore accounts. I barely have a savings account. This is insane, but even as she said it, pieces clicked into place. The phone calls, the knock on her door. Someone had set her up and they'd done it tonight right after she'd cracked the Henderson case. I need to speak to my supervisor, Maya said. This is a frame job. Someone's trying to... Your supervisor is the one who requested the warrant. The world tilted. Morrison, her supervisor, the man who'd said her work was solid just hours ago. He'd turned on her that fast? No, that didn't make sense. Unless Morrison was involved in whatever she'd uncovered. Unless the Henderson case wasn't just about financial crimes. Unless it went deeper, higher, closer to home. Maya's mind raced through the files. The shell companies. The wire transfers. She'd assumed it was a standard money laundering operation. But what if it wasn't? What if someone inside the bureau was connected? What if Morrison was connected? I need a lawyer, Maya said. I'm not saying anything else without representation. The older officer smiled without warmth. Smart, you'll need one. They continued tearing apart her apartment. Maya sat on the kitchen chair, hands now zip-tied in front of her, humiliating, infuriating, terrifying, and watched them destroy her life. One officer emerged from her bedroom holding her service weapon, still in its case. Glock 19, registered to the bureau. Obviously, Maya said, I'm an agent, but they bagged it anyway. Evidence. Another officer found her laptop. More evidence they were building a case, and it didn't matter that she was innocent. It didn't matter that she'd spent 4 years giving everything to the bureau. It didn't matter that she'd been so careful, so professional, so determined to be beyond reproach. She was black. She was a woman. And someone had decided she was expendable. The older officer's phone rang. He stepped away, speaking in low tones Maya couldn't hear. She looked around her apartment, her safe space now violated, and felt something cold settle in her chest. Not fear, not anymore. Anger. She'd worked too hard. Come too far. Lost too much. They weren't going to take this from her. The officer returned, pocketing his phone. His expression had changed. Slightly uncertain now, sir. One of the younger officers called from near the front door. You should see this. They all moved toward the entrance. Maya couldn't see what they were looking at, but she heard one of them swear softly. The older officer returned to Maya, studied her face. You're saying you're currently employed with the FBI? I've said that 6 times. And you have active credentials? Yes, check my badge. It's in my bag. He gestured to another officer who retrieved Maya's FBI credentials from her work bag, flipped open the leather case, looked at the badge, the ID card with her photo and employee number. Real, current, valid. The officer's face went pale. Sir, the younger one by the door said again, her jacket. They were all looking at the FBI jacket hanging on the hook. The one Maya wore to work every day. The one with her name embroidered inside the collar and her badge number on the tag. The room went very, very quiet. The older officer cleared his throat. We're going to need to make a phone call. They took the zip ties off. Maya sat on her couch, her violated, searched, cushionless couch, and waited while the older officer made a series of increasingly uncomfortable phone calls in her kitchen. The other officers avoided eye contact, stood around looking anywhere but at her. Maya's anger had cooled into something sharper, more useful. She'd been afraid when they burst in, terrified even, but fear was gone now, replaced by calculation. Someone had tried to end her career tonight, tried to put her in prison, and they'd almost succeeded, would have succeeded if she hadn't left her jacket by the door. Such a small thing. She usually hung it in the closet. But tonight, tired from her long day, she'd just hooked it by the entrance. That jacket had saved her. The older officer returned. He looked 20 years older than he had 30 minutes ago. Agent Washington, he said, agent this time. There's been a significant miscommunication. Maya said nothing. Let him squirm. The warrant we received indicated a Maya Washington at this address suspected of espionage and corruption. We were told by our commanding officer that you were not a federal agent. That information was incorrect. Incorrect, Maya repeated flatly. Yes, we're going to need to sort this out. But you're free to move about your apartment. You're not under arrest. How generous, the officer flinched. I understand you're upset, do you? He didn't answer that. Maya stood, walked to her kitchen and poured herself water with shaking hands. Drank it in 3 long swallows. Her body was still flooded with adrenaline, fight-or-flight chemicals with nowhere to go. Who gave the order? She asked. I can't discuss. Who gave the order? The officer hesitated. The warrant came through federal channels. Your name was flagged in connection with an ongoing investigation. What investigation? I don't have those details. He was lying. Or at least withholding. Maya could read it in his face in the way he wouldn't quite meet her eyes. I want names, she said. I want to know everyone involved in this. I want copies of all documentation. And I want to know which of my colleagues threw me under the bus. That's not my... You just raided a federal agent's apartment on false charges. Do you understand what that means? Do you understand the lawsuits, the investigations? The shitstorm that's about to rain down on your department? The officer's jaw tightened. We followed proper procedure. You followed bad intelligence. Which means someone fed you bad intelligence. On purpose. Maya's mind was racing again, connecting dots. The timing was too perfect. The day she cracks Henderson, she gets raided. Morrison requests the warrant. Someone wants her gone, but why? What had she found that was worth destroying her career? She crossed to her work bag, ignoring the officer's sudden tension. Knelt and gathered the scattered Henderson files. Most were still there. They hadn't had time to bag everything as evidence before they'd realized their mistake. Agent Washington, the older officer said carefully, you should leave those. These are my case files. From my ongoing investigation, which I'm going to continue working on because unlike some people, I actually do my job. She stacked the papers, sliding them back into the folder. Her hands had stopped shaking. Her mind was clear now, focused. Someone had tried to stop her, which meant she was on the right track. It took another 2 hours before the raid team finally left. They'd tried to restore order to her apartment, a pathetic attempt at putting books back on shelves, cushions back on the couch. But you can't unbreak a door, can't unviolate a space. Maya stood in her living room as the last officer filed out, muttering apologies that meant nothing. The older officer paused at the threshold. Someone will be in touch about the door. We'll have it repaired. Don't bother, Maya said. I'll send the bureau the bill. He nodded, left, and then she was alone. Maya walked to her front door, her broken front door hanging crooked on its hinges, and stared at it. Stared at the splintered wood, the bent metal, the physical proof that her sanctuary had been invaded. She could call her mother. Should call her mother, but she couldn't handle that conversation right now. Couldn't handle the fear in her mom's voice, the inevitable, maybe you should quit that job suggestion. She called Andre instead. He picked up on the first ring. Maya, it's 4 a.m. You okay? Can you come over? Pause. What happened? Can you come? I'm on my way, he hung up. 15 minutes later, he must have driven like a maniac. Andre was at her door. Her baby brother, not so baby anymore at 25, took one look at the destroyed entrance and his face went hard. Who did this? Police, FBI. It's complicated. Maya's voice cracked on the last word and suddenly she was crying. Loud, ugly, gasping sobs she'd been holding back for hours. Andre pulled her into a hug. Didn't ask questions, just held her while she broke. When she could breathe again, she told him everything. The case, the raid, the accusations, the horrible moment when she thought her entire career, her entire life was ending. Andre listened, his jaw getting tighter with every sentence. We're suing them, he said when she finished. We're suing everyone. It won't matter, the hell it won't. Maya shook her head. This goes higher than some mistaken raid. Someone inside set me up, someone with access to high-level systems. They knew I was getting close to something. Close to what? That was the question. Maya retrieved the Henderson files from her bag, spread them across her coffee table even though the table was now scratched and marked with boot prints. I thought this was about money laundering, she said. Financial crimes. But look, she pointed at a series of transactions. These shell companies? They're owned by another shell company, which is owned by another. 7 layers deep. That's not just laundering. That's intelligence work. Andre leaned closer. You're saying what, CIA? Or someone using CIA techniques. The money flows through countries with intelligence sharing agreements. Places where our agencies have cooperation protocols. Someone who knows the system that well. Someone on the inside. Maya nodded. And when I started unraveling it, they tried to remove me. By making you look corrupt. By making me look like exactly the thing I was investigating. It was elegant, really. Brutal, but elegant. Frame the investigator with the crime she's investigating. Even if the charges don't stick, the suspicion remains. The career ends except their frame job had failed. Thanks to a jacket hanging by the door. So what do you do now? Andre asked. Maya looked at the files. At the numbers that didn't lie. At the trail that someone desperately wanted to bury. I finish the investigation, she said. I find whoever tried to destroy me. And I make sure they burn. Andre grinned, fierce and proud. That's my sister. By the time dawn broke over DC, Maya had a plan. She couldn't trust Morrison. Couldn't trust her own office, not until she knew how deep the corruption went. But she had something they didn't know about. 3 months ago, she'd made a backup of all her Henderson research. Saved it to a secure cloud drive that wasn't connected to bureau systems. She'd done it out of paranoia, worried about losing work if her laptop crashed. But now that paranoia might save her life. Andre had helped her board up the broken door temporarily. Not secure, but better than leaving it wide open. Then he'd crashed on her couch, insisting he wasn't leaving her alone. Maya sat at her kitchen table as sunrise painted her apartment pink and gold. Laptop open, Henderson files in front of her. Coffee in her hand, her 4th cup. But who was counting? She started mapping the connections. Shell Company A connected to Shell Company B. B connected to C. But when she traced the registration dates and locations, a pattern emerged. All 7 companies had been registered within a 3-week period. All 7 used the same law firm in Delaware, a state famous for lax corporate oversight. And all 7 had the same registered agent signature on file. Maya pulled up the signature. Scanned it, ran it through an FBI database. Match. The signature belonged to Thomas Reeves, a contract lawyer who'd done work for the Bureau on several occasions, including work for the Financial Crimes Unit, Maya's unit. She sat back, took a breath. This went all the way into her own department. She checked Reeves's employment history. He'd left the FBI 3 years ago, but maintained his security clearance through contract work. Had access to systems, had knowledge of procedures, and according to his financial records Maya probably shouldn't be accessing right now but did anyway, he'd made several large deposits in the past year. Deposits that coincided with the Henderson transactions. But Reeves was small fish. A lawyer didn't run an operation like this. Someone higher had to be pulling strings. Maya scrolled through Reeves's contract history, looking for names. Cases he'd worked. Agents he'd supported. There, Supervisory Special Agent Patrick Morrison, her supervisor. The man who'd smiled at her yesterday and called her work solid. The man who'd requested the warrant for her arrest just hours later. Maya's hands clenched into fists. Morrison was the connection. Had to be. He'd been with the Financial Crimes Unit for 15 years. Had oversight on dozens of cases. Had access to everything, and now he was trying to bury her before she could expose him. But why Henderson? What made that case special? Maya pulled up the original investigation file. Henderson Development Group, a real estate company accused of inflating property values and defrauding investors. Standard white-collar crime on the surface, but the amounts were huge. $40 million across multiple projects. And the investors? Maya's eyes widened. The investors included 2 senators, a federal judge, 3 former intelligence officials. This wasn't just financial crime. This was a protection racket. Someone was embezzling millions and had enough powerful people involved that no one dared investigate too closely. Until Maya started digging, and now they wanted her gone. Maya stood. Paced her kitchen. Her mind was racing through scenarios, through next moves. through the very real possibility that she was in serious danger. If Morrison was willing to frame her, what else was he willing to do? Andre stirred on the couch. You okay? No, Maya said honestly. I'm not okay. I'm scared. And I'm angry. And I have no idea who to trust. Andre sat up, rubbing his eyes. You trust me. And you trust yourself. That's enough to start, was it? Maya looked at her little brother, a high school teacher who'd never broken a law in his life, who didn't deserve to be dragged into this mess. But he was here. He'd come when she called. I need to make a call, she said. Someone outside the bureau. Someone they can't touch. Who? Maya pulled out her phone, scrolled through contacts until she found the name she was looking for. Carla Simmons, investigative journalist at the Washington Post. They'd met 2 years ago during a financial crimes workshop. Had stayed in touch, occasionally grabbing coffee when their schedules aligned. Carla was smart, ruthless when she caught a story, and most importantly, not afraid of powerful people. Maya had never leaked to press before. Had been trained specifically not to leak to press. But this was different, this was survival. She dialed, but then something happened that would change everything. Carla Simmons answered on the third ring, voice thick with sleep. This better be good, because it's 6 in the morning. Maya took a breath. It's Maya Washington, FBI. We met at the... I remember. What's wrong? Smart? Carla had picked up the tension in Maya's voice immediately. I need to meet today somewhere public, and I need you to bring a camera. Silence on the other end. Then, you're blowing a whistle. I'm staying alive. Another pause. Lincoln Memorial, 8 a.m. I'll be at the bottom of the steps, east side. Thank you. Don't thank me yet. If this isn't real, if you're wasting my time, it's real. And it's big. Carla hung up. Maya set down her phone. Her hands were shaking again. She'd just crossed a line she couldn't uncross. Once she gave information to a journalist, there was no taking it back. But staying silent meant letting Morrison win. Meant letting corruption continue. Meant other agents might get framed, might get hurt, might end up dead. Andre was watching her. You sure about this? No, but I'm doing it anyway. Maya showered quickly, scrubbing away the feeling of violation from the raid. Changed into jeans and a Georgetown sweatshirt, civilian clothes because wearing FBI gear felt dangerous now. She packed the Henderson files into a messenger bag. Added her laptop, her backup drive, copies of everything. If something happened to her, at least the evidence would survive. Andre insisted on driving. Maya didn't argue. Her nerves were too shot to trust herself behind the wheel. They left her apartment at 7:30. The boarded-up door looked even worse in morning light, a visible wound, proof of what had been done to her. The drive to the National Mall was quiet. Early commuters filled the roads, people heading to normal jobs with normal problems. Maya envied them. Andre parked near the Vietnam Memorial. Walked with her toward Lincoln. I'll hang back, he said. Keep watch. Anything feels wrong, I'm calling 911. They were 911, Maya said. They're the ones who raided me. Then I'll call the fire department. The Coast Guard, hell, I'll call the Marines. Just be careful. She squeezed his hand. I will. Maya approached the Lincoln Memorial alone. The massive marble structure gleamed in early sunlight. Tourists were already gathering, taking photos, reading the Gettysburg Address carved into stone walls. She spotted Carla at the bottom of the east steps. Mid-40s, short gray hair, wearing a blazer over jeans. A camera bag hung from her shoulder. Carla saw Maya and nodded once. They sat on a bench away from the crowds. Close enough to be seen, safety and visibility, but far enough for privacy. You look like hell, Carla said. My apartment was raided at 2 a.m. by people who thought I was a criminal. Carla's eyes sharpened. Start from the beginning. Maya did. Told her everything, the Henderson case, the strange phone calls, the violent entry, the accusations. The discovery that her own supervisor had requested the warrant. Carla took notes. Asked clarifying questions. Her expression remained neutral, professional, but Maya could see the journalist's instinct firing. This was a story. A big one. You have proof? Carla asked. Maya pulled out her laptop. Opened files. Showed Carla the shell companies, the transactions, the connections to Thomas Reeves and Patrick Morrison. This is enough for a corruption investigation, Carla said, but it's not enough for a story, not yet. I need more sources, confirmation, someone else who can verify. There is no one else. Everyone in my unit either works for Morrison or is too scared to talk. Then I need documents. Official records. Something that proves Morrison requested that warrant. Maya hadn't thought of that. The warrant itself would be filed in federal court. Public record, technically, but hard to access without drawing attention. Maya hadn't thought of that. The warrant itself would be filed in federal court. Public record, technically, but hard to access without drawing attention. I can try to get it, she said. But if Morrison finds out I'm digging, he'll come after you again. I know. Carla closed her notebook. Here's what I can do. I'll start making calls. Background research on Morrison, on Reeves, on Henderson Development. I'll be quiet, careful. Won't publish anything until we have ironclad proof. But Maya, she looked serious now. Once this story breaks, your life changes forever. You understand that? Maya nodded. It already changed. Last night, when they kicked down my door. Fair enough. Carla stood. I'll be in touch. Keep your phone on, and watch your back. She walked away, disappearing into the growing crowd of tourists. Maya sat alone on the bench. The Lincoln statue towered above her. Honest Abe, who'd fought a war to preserve the Union, who'd been assassinated for doing what was right. She hoped she wouldn't end up like him. Andre drove her to a diner near DuPont Circle. Maya hadn't eaten since yesterday's lunch, and her body was starting to rebel. They slid into a booth, ordered coffee and pancakes. The normalcy of it felt surreal. What now? Andre asked. Now I figure out how deep this goes. Morrison can't be working alone. The amount of money involved, the number of shell companies, that takes infrastructure, organization. A conspiracy. Maya hated that word. It sounded paranoid, like something from a bad thriller movie. But that's what this was. Multiple people working together, committing crimes and covering them up. Her phone buzzed. Text from an unknown number. We need to talk. Not safe over phone. Meet me at the Smithsonian Sculpture Garden. Noon. Come alone. Maya showed it too. Andre, that's a trap, he said. Immediately. Maybe. Or maybe it's someone trying to help. Or maybe it's Morrison's. People trying to finish what the raid started. He had a point. But Maya was running out of options. She needed allies. Needed information. The sculpture garden is public, she said. Lots of people around. And it's the Smithsonian. They have security cameras everywhere. You're actually considering this. I have to. Andre shook his head. Then I'm coming with you. The text said alone. I don't care what the text said. I'm not letting you walk into an ambush by yourself. Maya wanted to argue, but relief flooded through her. She didn't want to go alone. Didn't want to be brave anymore. Okay, she said. But you stay back. Out of sight. Just in case they finished breakfast. Killed time wandering through a bookstore, though Maya couldn't focus enough to read anything. Her mind kept circling back to that text. Who had her number? Who knew she'd been raided? Who would risk reaching out? At 11:30, they headed for the sculpture garden. The National Gallery Sculpture Garden sat between the mall and Constitution Avenue, a peaceful oasis of modern art and manicured paths. In summer, the fountain would be running. Now in late September, it was quiet. Maya arrived at 11:55, scanned the area. Tourists scattered throughout, admiring sculptures. A mom with a stroller, an elderly couple on a bench. No one looked threatening. But that didn't mean much. Andre positioned himself near the entrance, pretending to study a map. Within sprinting distance, if things went wrong, Maya walked slowly through the garden, past a giant spider sculpture, past abstract metal shapes she didn't understand, and then she saw him, Agent David Chen, from her unit. Early 30s, former Marine, one of the few people in the office who'd always treated her with respect. He sat on a bench near the fountain, wearing civilian clothes, looking nervous. Maya approached carefully. You sent the text? Sit, please. She sat but kept distance between them. How'd you get my number? Personnel files. I'm sorry about that. But I needed to reach you without going through official channels. Why? David glanced around, making sure no one was close enough to hear. Because Morrison's dirty, and I think you know it. Maya's heart rate spiked. Keep talking. I've suspected for months. Little things that didn't add up. Cases that got dropped without explanation. Evidence that went missing. But I couldn't prove anything. Then yesterday, Morrison requested an emergency warrant. Middle of the night. Said you were compromised. Said you'd been feeding information to criminals. And you believed him? No, I know you. You're one of the best agents we have. But I couldn't stop it. By the time I found out, the raid was already happening. Maya studied his face, searching for lies. For traps. Why tell me this now? Because Morrison made a mistake. He moved too fast, got too aggressive, and now people are asking questions. Other agents. Our SAC, Internal Affairs, is sniffing around. Good, that was good. What do you know about Henderson Development? Maya asked. David's expression darkened. More than I should. I pulled some files this morning. Morrison's been blocking the investigation for 2 years. Every time we got close to something real, he'd redirect resources, claim other cases were higher priority. Because he's connected to it. I think so, but I can't prove it yet. Maya made a decision, pulled out her laptop. I can, she showed David everything. The shell companies, the wire transfers, Thomas Reeves's signature, the connections between Henderson investors and powerful officials. David's face went pale. Jesus, this isn't just corruption. This is espionage. Or worse. What do you mean worse? These investors, he pointed at the list. Senator Collins is on the Intelligence Committee. Judge Morrison sits on the FISA court. These are people with access to classified operations. If Henderson Development is a front for something bigger, Maya's blood ran cold. She'd been thinking financial crimes, money laundering. But David was right. The players involved had access to national security information. What if Henderson wasn't about stealing money? What if it was about buying influence? Buying secrets? We need to take this to Internal Affairs, David said. Today, right now. What if IA is compromised too? Then we go higher. Justice Department. Inspector General. But Maya, we can't sit on this. If Morrison figures out you're still digging, he already knows. Why else would he try to frame me? David stood. Started pacing. Okay, here's what we do. You give me copies of everything. I take it to IA through official channels. That creates a paper trail. Morrison can't make it disappear. And if he tries to frame you next, then at least 2 of us go down. Better odds someone survives to tell the truth. It was dark logic, but Sound Maya created copies of her files, loaded them onto a flash drive. Handed it to David. Be careful, she said. These people already tried to destroy me. They won't hesitate with you. David pocketed the drive. I'm a Marine. I've dealt with worse, not like this. This is our own people, he met her eyes. All the more reason to fight. After David left, Maya rejoined Andre, filled him in on the conversation. So what, you just wait now? Andre asked. Wait for Internal Affairs to investigate? No, I keep digging, because IA investigations take months, and I might not have months. They walked back toward Andre's car. Maya's phone rang. Morrison's name on the screen. Her stomach clenched. She answered. Put it on speaker so Andre could hear. Agent Washington. Morrison's voice was smooth, calm. I heard about last night. Terrible mistake. I hope you're all right. Liar, he'd requested the warrant himself. I'm fine, sir. Door's broken. Sense of security's shattered, but I'm alive. I'm glad. Listen, why don't you take a few days off? Paid leave. Let things settle down. Translation. Disappear so we can bury this quietly. That's generous, sir, but I'd rather keep working. In fact, I have some new leads on the Henderson case I'd like to discuss. Pause. Long enough to confirm Maya's suspicions. The Henderson case has been reassigned, Morrison said. Agent Lewis is taking lead. Reassigned? Sir, I've been working that case for 3 years, and you've done excellent work. But given last night's events, I think it's best if you step back. Take time to recover. We'll revisit your caseload next week. He was shutting her out. Blocking her access, I understand, Maya said, keeping her voice neutral. I'll submit my case notes today. No rush. Enjoy your time off. He hung up. Maya and Andre stared at each other. He's panicking, Andre said. That's good, right? Or he's preparing to come at me harder. Reassigning my case means I lose access to official files. Can't investigate through bureau systems without raising flags. So you investigate unofficially. Maya smiled without humor. Guess I'm going rogue. They went back to Maya's apartment. The boarded door looked even more depressing in afternoon light. Maya fired up her laptop, started pulling every piece of information she could find on Henderson Development that didn't require bureau access. Public records, news articles, property deeds, Court filings. The company had been around for 8 years. Started small, flipping houses in Maryland suburbs. Then suddenly 5 years ago it exploded. Massive developments. High-rise condos. Commercial properties. The kind of growth that required serious capital. Maya traced the money backward. Henderson's initial funding came from private investors. Lots of them. Small amounts spread across dozens of people. But then 3 years ago, a single investor injected $15 million. The investor's name was listed as Constellation Holdings LLC, another shell company. Maya ran Constellation through corporate databases, registered in the Cayman Islands. No public ownership records, but the registered agent signature, Thomas Reeves. Again. So Reeves wasn't just helping create shells for Henderson. He was creating shells that funded Henderson. The money was circular, flowing from one company to another, then back around. Classic laundering technique. But where did the original money come from? Maya dug deeper, tracked Constellation's banking records. Not easy without bureau access, but she still had some backdoor contacts from previous cases. An analyst at Treasury owed her a favor. Maya called it in. 20 minutes later, she had wire transfer records for Constellation Holdings. The money had come from overseas. Multiple countries, small amounts that wouldn't trigger reporting requirements, but when added up totaled millions. Russia, China, Iran, Saudi Arabia. Maya's blood turned to ice. This wasn't financial crime. This was foreign money. Enemy money, flowing into a U.S. real estate company, flowing into the pockets of senators and judges and intelligence officials. This was a national security threat, and Morrison had been protecting it. For years. Oh my God, Maya whispered. Andre looked over her shoulder at the screen. What am I looking at? Proof that our government is being bought by hostile nations. Proof that people with security clearances are taking foreign money. Proof that her phone rang. David Chen, she answered. Did you make it to IA? Maya, listen to me very carefully. David's voice was tight, scared. Don't go home. Don't go to the office. Don't trust anyone. What happened? I got to IA, handed over the flash drive. Told them everything. They said they'd open an investigation. That's good. Then Morrison showed up, in the IA office, with 2 agents I've never seen before. They took the flash drive, said it was evidence in a classified matter. Maya's heart sank. IA gave it to him. They didn't have a choice. He had paperwork, some kind of national security override. Maya, he's higher up than we thought. He has protection. Where are you now? Leaving the building. I think I'm being followed. Black sedan. Government plates. Lose them. Meet me at... Maya thought fast. Somewhere public. Somewhere safe. The zoo. Main entrance. 1 hour. I'll try. He hung up. Maya grabbed her bag, started shoving files and laptop inside. Andre was already on his feet. We're running? We're regrouping. Morrison has IA in his pocket, which means he has more power than a supervisory special agent should have. What does that mean? It means he's not the top of the food chain. Someone above him is protecting this operation. Someone with serious authority. Maya's mind raced through the bureau hierarchy. Above Morrison was the assistant director of the Criminal Investigative Division. Above that, the deputy director. Above that, the director himself. How high did this go? They left the apartment. Andre drove while Maya made calls. First to Carla Simmons. I have more, Maya said when the journalist answered. Foreign money. Intelligence officials. This is bigger than corruption. How much bigger? Espionage bigger. Possibly treason, Carla swore. You're sure? I have wire transfers from hostile nations going to a shell company that funds a U.S. development group, whose investors include senators and judges. I'm sure. Send me everything. Now. I can't. Morrison just confiscated my flash drive from Internal Affairs. I need to meet you in person. When? Tonight. After I meet with David Chen, he's the only other agent I trust. Where? Maya thought. The Kennedy Center. 8 p.m. lower level. Near the bathrooms. I'll be there. Maya hung up. Made one more call. To her mother. Baby, why are you calling in the middle of the day? Mom, I need you to listen. Don't ask questions. Just listen. Her mother's voice changed. Became serious. What's wrong? I'm in trouble. Work trouble. And I need you to stay with Aunt Deborah for a few days. Pack a bag. Leave tonight. Maya, you're scaring me. I know. I'm sorry. But please, just do this. I'll explain everything when it's safe. Silence. Then okay, but you call me every day. You hear me? Every single day, I will. I love you. I love you too, baby. Maya hung up, felt tears prickling her eyes. She'd just put her mother in danger by association. Had to get her somewhere safe. Andre glanced over. She'll be okay. You don't know that. I know you're doing everything you can. That's enough, was it? Maya wasn't sure anymore. Wasn't sure of anything except that she'd stumbled into something massive and dark and deadly, and now she had to see it through to the end. Whatever that end might be. The National Zoo was crowded. Families with kids, school groups. The noise and chaos actually helped, made it harder for anyone to track them. Maya and Andre positioned themselves near the main entrance, watching, waiting. David Chen arrived 20 minutes late. Looking over his shoulder every few seconds, he spotted Maya and hurried over. I think I lost them, but I can't be sure. Tell me exactly what happened at IA. David laid it out, how he'd gone to the Internal Affairs office, how he'd been met by Agent Sarah Webb, a senior investigator, how he'd explained the situation and handed over the flash drive. Webb took it seriously, David said. She was starting to open an official inquiry. Then Morrison walked in with two guys in suits, said the matter involved classified intelligence and fell under counter-espionage jurisdiction. Counter-espionage? Maya's mind raced. That's FBI Counter-Intel Division. They handle foreign spies. Exactly. Morrison claimed you were being investigated for espionage, said you'd been passing classified information to foreign contacts, said the Henderson case was part of a sting operation to catch you. Maya's blood boiled. Morrison had flipped the entire narrative, made himself the hero, made her the traitor. NIA believed him? They didn't have a choice. He had signed orders from the deputy director. Webb had to hand over the evidence. So Morrison has everything. All my research. All my proof. Not everything. David pulled out his phone. I made a backup before I left your apartment. Uploaded it to a secure server that's not connected to bureau systems. Smart. Maya wanted to hug him. Send me the access codes. David shook his head. Too risky. If they're monitoring you, they'll intercept it. I'll give the codes to your journalist friend. Carla Simmons, right? Maya nodded. She's meeting me tonight. Kennedy Center. I'll be there too, with the backup files. Between the three of us, we can... A woman's scream cut through the zoo noise. Then another scream. People running. Maya's instincts fired. She grabbed David and Andre. Move, now. They ran toward the exit. Maya looked back once. Two men in dark suits were pushing through the crowd. Moving fast. Professional Morrison's people. The three of them burst out of the zoo entrance. Andre's car was 2 blocks away. Go! Maya shouted. They sprinted. Dodging tourists and strollers and confused pedestrians. The suited men followed. Not running, that would draw too much attention. But walking fast. Closing distance. Andre reached the car first. Fumbled with keys. Got the door open. Maya and David dove into the back seat. Andre floored it. They saw the car, David said, looking back. They saw the plates. I know. Andre's voice was tight. He took a hard left, then a right. Weaving through traffic, we need to ditch this car, Maya said. They'll track it. Where? Union Station. Lots of people. Multiple exits. We can lose them there. Andre drove. Maya kept watch behind them. The suited men had gotten into their own car. A black sedan. Exactly what David had described. They were being hunted by their own agency, by people who were supposed to be the good guys. Union Station appeared ahead. Andre pulled into the parking garage, found a spot on the 3rd level. They abandoned the car and ran for the main terminal. Inside, the station bustled with travelers, commuters, tourists. The high ceilings echoed with announcements and conversations. Maya spotted a metro entrance. This way, they descended into the subway system, bought fare card tickets with cash, no electronic trail. Boarded a Red Line train just as the doors closed. Through the windows, Maya saw the 2 suited men enter the platform. Too late. The train pulled away. They'd escaped for now. They got off at Farragut North. Emerged onto Connecticut Avenue in the heart of downtown. We need somewhere to hide until tonight, Maya said. Somewhere Morrison won't think to look. Hotel? Andre suggested. They'll check hotels. Credit cards, IDs. David pulled out his phone. I have a friend. Owes me a favor. Diplomat's wife. Has a townhouse in Georgetown that's empty half the year. Can you trust her? She's not FBI. She's not government. She's just someone who helped me once. I can help her now. It was thin. But they were out of options. David made the call. Explained they needed a place to lay low for a few hours. Didn't give details. The woman, her name was Elena, said yes without asking questions. Good friend. They took a cab to Georgetown. The townhouse was beautiful. 3 stories of brick and ivy near the university. Elena met them at the door. Mid-50s, elegant, curious, but discreet. Stay as long as you need, she said. I'll be at the embassy if you need anything. She left them alone. The 3 of them collapsed in the living room, exhausted, scared, but alive. Okay, Maya said. We regroup. David, you have the backup files. I have the wire transfer records on my laptop. We meet Carla tonight. Give her everything. She publishes. Morrison and everyone protecting him gets exposed. And if they stop us before then? Andre asked. Maya met his eyes. Then we make sure someone else has the information. Multiple journalists. Multiple copies. They can't kill a story that's already out there. They can try, David said quietly. Yes, they could try. Maya checked her watch. 4 hours until the Kennedy Center meeting. 4 hours to stay alive. 4 hours to finish what she'd started. She opened her laptop, started writing a detailed account of everything. The Henderson case, the shell companies, the foreign money, Morrison's protection, the raid on her apartment, a full confession, a full exposure. If she didn't survive, at least the truth would. The clock was ticking. And somewhere in D.C., Morrison was planning his next move. The Kennedy Center glowed against the dark Potomac River. Maya, David, and Andre approached separately. Staggered timing. Different entrances. They'd learned to think like fugitives. Maya entered through the Hall of States at 7:45. Wore a baseball cap pulled low. Kept her head down. The building was busy. Concert night, well-dressed crowds flowing toward theaters. She took the escalator to the lower level, found the bathrooms near the terrace exit, positioned herself where she could watch both hallways. David arrived at 7:50. Nodded once. Stood near the water fountain. Andre came at 7:55. Pretended to study a poster about upcoming shows. No sign of Carla yet. Maya's phone buzzed. Text from an unknown number. Running late. 10 minutes. Don't leave. She showed it to David. He frowned. Could be a trap, he whispered. Could be traffic. They waited. The crowd thinned as show started. The lower level grew quieter. 8:05. 8:10. Still no Carla. Maya's instincts screamed. Something was wrong. We should go, David said. But then Carla appeared, hurrying down the hallway. Camera bag over her shoulder. Out of breath. Sorry. Accident on Rock Creek Parkway. Damn tourist can't drive. She looked real. Sounded real. But Maya had learned not to trust appearances. Show me your ID, Maya said. Carla raised an eyebrow but pulled out her Washington Post press credentials. Maya examined them. Real. Current photo. Hologram security features. Satisfied? Sorry, bad day. I heard. Carla's expression softened. Your apartment, the raid. I've been making calls. Maya, you're officially listed as a person of interest in an ongoing counter-espionage investigation. I know. It's all lies. Morrison flipped the narrative. Then we flip it back. What do you have for me? David stepped forward. Handed Carla a flash drive. Everything. Shell companies. Wire transfers. Foreign money. Names of officials involved. It's all documented. Carla plugged the drive into her laptop. Started scrolling through files. Her eyes widened. Jesus, this is... Maya, do you understand what this is? Foreign influence operation. Buying access to classified information through real estate investments. It's bigger than that. Look, Carla pointed at a spreadsheet. These wire transfers coincide with major intelligence events. A failed operation in Tehran, leaked names of CIA assets in Moscow, a blown surveillance operation in Beijing. Maya leaned closer, saw what Carla meant. Every time sensitive intelligence had been compromised, money had flowed into Henderson Development. Payment for information. Payment for betrayal. Someone's been selling secrets, Maya whispered. For years, not someone. Multiple someones. Carla scrolled faster. These investors aren't just taking foreign money. They're giving information in return, and Morrison's been protecting them. David's face had gone pale. That's treason. Multiple counts. People have died because of these leaks. The weight of it hit Maya like a physical blow. She'd thought she was investigating financial crimes, corruption, but this was so much worse. American intelligence officers had been killed because people like Senator Collins and Judge Morrison had sold them out for money. We publish tonight, Carla said. I'll file the story within the hour. Front page tomorrow morning. They won't be able to bury it? They'll try, Maya said. Morrison has protection at high levels. Then we go higher. I'll send copies to the Inspector General, the Justice Department, and the Senate Intelligence Committee simultaneously. Create too many fires for them to put out. It was a good plan, a solid plan, but Maya's instincts were still screaming. We need to move, she said. Now, this place is too exposed. Agreed. David headed for the exit. My car's in the garage across the street. They moved as a group. Up the escalator, through the Hall of Nations, out into the cool September night. The parking garage was quiet. Their footsteps echoed on concrete. David's car was on the third level. A gray Honda sedan. Government vehicle, but unmarked. He unlocked it. They climbed in. David driving, Carla shotgun, Maya and Andre in back. David started the engine, and that's when Maya saw them. 2 black SUVs blocking the exit ramp. Men in suits emerging. 6 of them, armed. Go! Maya shouted. Reverse now! David threw the car into reverse. Tires squealed. But another SUV had pulled up behind them. Blocking that exit too, they were boxed in. Out of the car. A voice boomed through a megaphone. FBI. Out of the car with your hands visible! Maya's heart hammered. This was it. Morrison had found them. What do we do? Andre's voice shook. Maya looked at Carla. Did you upload the files anywhere? Cloud storage? Email? Not yet. Didn't have time. So if they confiscated the laptop and flash drive, the evidence disappeared. David pulled out his phone. Started typing frantically. What are you doing? Maya asked, emailing the files. To every journalist I can think of. Every lawyer. Every government watchdog. They want to bury this. They'll have to bury 50 people. Smart. Maya pulled out her own phone. Did the same. Sent her documentation to the ACLU, to NPR, to the New York Times, to 3 different congressional staffers she'd met at conferences. The suited agents were approaching. Weapons drawn! Out of the vehicle! Final warning. Keep sending, Maya told David. Don't stop until they physically take your phone. The agents surrounded the car, pointed guns at the windows. Maya opened her door slowly, hands raised. I'm Special Agent Maya Washington, FBI, badge number JC47821. This is a mistake. On the ground now, she complied. Felt rough hands grab her arms. Zip ties cut into her wrists. They pulled her to her feet. David, Andre, and Carla were getting the same treatment. Pulled from the car, restrained, a man in a dark suit approached. Older. Gray hair. Cold eyes, Agent Washington. I'm Deputy Director Marcus Finch. Maya's blood ran cold. The Deputy Director. 1 level below the Director of the FBI himself. Morrison didn't just have protection. Morrison was protected by the highest levels of the Bureau. Sir, Maya said carefully. There's been a misunderstanding. I'm investigating. We know what you're investigating, and we know what you've been leaking to the press. He nodded to an agent who grabbed Carla's laptop and camera bag. That's theft, Carla said. I'm a journalist. First Amendment. This is a national security matter. Your rights are suspended. You can't do that. Watch me. Finch turned back to Maya. You've caused significant damage, Agent Washington. Interfered with a classified operation. Compromised sensitive sources. Endangered American lives. I exposed corruption. I found evidence of foreign influence. Evidence you were never authorized to access. Evidence you stole using your bureau credentials. He was twisting everything, making her the criminal. Morrison is dirty, Maya said. He's protecting people who take foreign money, who leak intelligence. I have proof. You have theories. Conspiracy theories from a disgraced agent who cracked under pressure. I'm not disgraced. I'm not. You will be. By tomorrow, your career is over. Your credibility destroyed. No one will believe anything you say. Finch stepped closer, lowered his voice so only Maya could hear. You should have accepted the paid leave. Should have walked away. Now you'll be lucky if you only lose your job. If you're smart, you'll stop talking. Stop digging. Disappear quietly. Or what? He smiled without warmth. People have accidents. Every day. It would be a shame if you became another statistic. A threat. Barely veiled. From the deputy director of the FBI, Maya's fear crystallized into something harder. Rage. You're part of it, she said. You're protecting the operation. How much are they paying you? Finch's smile vanished. Take her to the field office. Hold her for questioning. They dragged Maya toward one of the SUVs. She looked back at David, Andre, Carla. David met her eyes. Gave a tiny nod. He'd sent the emails. The evidence was out there. Even if they silenced Maya, the truth would survive. The FBI Washington field office looked different at night. They brought Maya in through the garage entrance. Avoiding cameras, avoiding witnesses, threw her into an interrogation room. No windows. Gray walls. Metal table bolted to the floor. They left her alone, still zip-tied, for an hour. Classic intimidation technique. Maya had used it herself in interviews. Let the suspects sit. Let them imagine worst-case scenarios. Break them down psychologically before asking the first question. But Maya wasn't a suspect. Wasn't a criminal. She was a federal agent who'd uncovered the truth, and she wasn't going to break. The door opened. Morrison walked in. He looked tired. Older than his 56 years. He pulled out a chair. Sat across from Maya. You made this so much harder than it needed to be, he said. Did I? Or did you make it hard by being a traitor? Morrison flinched. You don't understand what you're interfering with. I understand plenty. Foreign money. Compromised officials. Dead intelligence officers. Those officers died because the world is complicated. Because sometimes you have to make deals with bad people to prevent worse outcomes. Maya stared at him. You're justifying treason? I'm explaining reality. The money flowing through Henderson Development, it doesn't go to personal bank accounts. It funds black operations. Operations that Congress won't approve. Operations that keep Americans safe. That's bullshit. Morrison leaned forward. Is it? How do you think we track terrorist networks? How do you think we stop attacks before they happen? We need intelligence from places we can't officially be, countries we can't officially work with. So we create channels, unofficial channels, using real estate companies, among other things. Henderson is one piece of a larger operation, sanctioned at the highest levels. And you almost destroyed it. Maya's mind raced. Was he telling the truth? Could this really be some kind of authorized black operation? No, she didn't believe it. If it's sanctioned, why hide it from internal affairs? Why frame me? Why raid my apartment at 2 a.m. like a criminal? Morrison's jaw tightened. Because you got too close to aspects you weren't cleared for. Because some of the people involved made their own side deals. Took money they weren't supposed to take. Senator Collins, Judge Morrison, among others. They saw an opportunity. Got greedy. Started selling real intelligence instead of just facilitating the operation. And you covered for them. I tried to contain the damage. Tried to shut down their side deals without blowing the entire operation. By framing me? By redirecting your investigation. You should have taken the hint. Should have walked away. Maya laughed bitterly. Walked away from evidence of treason? I swore an oath. So did I, to protect this country. Even when it means making hard choices. Even when it means betraying your own agents. Morrison stood. Walked to the door. Stopped with his hand on the handle. You're going to be offered a deal. Take it. Sign the NDA. Accept the settlement. Live your life. What if I don't? He looked back. And for just a moment, Maya saw something like regret in his eyes. Then you'll disappear. They'll say you fled. Ran to avoid prosecution. Your reputation destroyed. Your family questioned. Your mother, your brother, they'll be investigated, harassed until there's nothing left. You'd do that? I wouldn't, but Finch would. And the people above him. They have resources you can't imagine. Morrison left. Maya sat alone in the interrogation room. Her phone was gone. Her laptop confiscated. The files she'd sent, would they be enough? Would anyone believe them without her alive to testify? She thought about her mother. About Andre. About David Chen and Carla Simmons. How many lives had she put in danger by refusing to look away? But then she thought about the intelligence officers who'd died. The operations that had been compromised. The American soldiers killed because someone sold secrets for money. If she stayed silent, that would continue. If she stayed silent, The bad guys won. The door opened again. This time it was Deputy Director Finch with the lawyer. Agent Washington, Finch said. This is Gerald Pierce. He's here to discuss your options. Pierce set a briefcase on the table. Pulled out documents, Ms. Washington. Agent, Maya corrected. Ms. Washington, Pierce repeated. You're being offered a settlement. Full pension, health care, a severance package of $250,000. In exchange, you sign a non-disclosure agreement. You never speak about your investigation. You never contact journalists. You disappear quietly. Maya scanned the documents, standard NDA language, plus a clause about national security obligations, plus a section that required her to submit to periodic interviews to ensure compliance. Translation: they'd own her forever. And if I don't sign? Criminal charges, espionage, theft of classified information, computer fraud. You'll be looking at 20 years. Federal prison. Based on what evidence? Pierce smiled coldly. We'll create the evidence. You know how this works? We have forensic accountants who can trace money anywhere. Tech specialists who can plant digital footprints. Agents who will testify they saw you passing information to foreign contacts. That's a frame job. That's how the game is played. Sign the agreement, walk away, or spend the next 20 years in a cell. Maya looked at the papers, at the offered money, at the easy way out she could sign, could take the deal, live quietly. Maybe Morrison was right. Maybe this was bigger than her. Maybe she couldn't win against people with unlimited resources. But then she thought about her father. He'd been a cop, 20 years on the DC force. He'd died of a heart attack when Maya was 15. But before he died, he'd told her something. Baby girl, there's going to come a time when doing right means doing hard. When staying quiet is easier than speaking up. And on that day, you'll have to choose what kind of person you are. Maya looked up at Finch and Pierce. No. Pierce blinked. Excuse me. No, I'm not signing. I'm not taking your deal. And I'm not staying quiet. Finch's expression darkened. You're making a mistake. Maybe, but it's my mistake to make. Think about your family. Your mother. Your brother. I am thinking about them. I'm thinking they raised me better than this. Maya stood, still zip-tied, but somehow feeling freer than she had in days. Do what you have to do. Frame me, arrest me. Make me disappear. But you can't stop the truth. I already sent the files. Dozens of copies. To journalists, lawyers, politicians. Even if you kill me, the story's out there. Finch stepped closer, voice low and dangerous. You think you're a hero? You're a fool. Those files will be discredited. Classified as disinformation. Foreign propaganda. No one will believe them. We'll see. He stared at her. She stared back. Finally, Finch turned to Pierce. File the charges. Let's see how brave she is when the trial starts. They left. Maya sat back down. Her hands were shaking. Her heart pounding. She'd just signed her own death warrant, but she'd also done the right thing. They moved her to a holding cell. Small, concrete, a metal bench and a toilet. The smell of disinfectant and despair. Maya sat on the bench. Tried not to think about the next 20 years in a place like this. Tried not to think about her mother's face when she found out. Time passed. Hours, days. It was hard to tell without windows or a clock. Finally, a guard came. You have a visitor. Maya stood. My lawyer? No, just a visitor. They led her to a visitation room. Plexiglass divider, phones on either side. David Chen sat on the other side. Maya grabbed the phone. David, how they let me go. Said I was cooperating with their investigation. That I'd been deceived by you. Maya's heart sank. Did you tell them? I told them nothing. But Maya, listen. The files I sent, they're everywhere. Washington Post published a story this morning. Front page. FBI investigates foreign influence operation. It's breaking wide open. Hope sparked. What about Finch? Morrison? Under investigation. Both suspended. Senator Collins resigned this morning. Judge Morrison recused himself from all cases pending ethics review. Maya's breath caught. It's working? It's working. You did it. The truth is out. Tears pricked Maya's eyes. What about me? The charges? David's smile faded. They're still pressing forward, trying to paint you as a rogue agent who stole classified information. But public opinion is swinging your way. People are calling you a whistleblower. I'm still in a cell. Not for long. The ACLU filed a habeas petition. Federal judge ordered your release pending trial. You should be out by tomorrow. Tomorrow. Not 20 years, tomorrow. Maya wanted to laugh. Or cry, or both. What about Carla? Andre? Released hours ago. No charges. Carla's writing a follow-up story about your arrest. Andre's threatening to sue every person involved in raiding your apartment. Sounds like Andre. David, thank you. For believing me. For risking everything. Thank you for having the guts to expose this. Not many agents would have pushed this hard. The guard tapped his watch. Time was up, I have to go, David said. But hang in there. This isn't over yet, he hung up. Maya watched him leave through the plexiglass. She was taken back to her cell. But this time the concrete walls felt less oppressive. The truth was out. People knew. Whatever happened next, she'd done what she'd set out to do. They released Maya 36 hours later. No apology. No explanation. Just opened the cell and told her to collect her belongings. She walked out of the field office into bright morning sunlight. Squinted against the glare, Andre was waiting by his car. When he saw her, he ran over, pulled her into a crushing hug. You scared the hell out of me, he said. Sorry. Don't apologize. You're a damn hero. They drove back to her apartment. The door had been properly repaired, probably the Bureau's lawyers trying to limit liability. Inside, everything was exactly as the raid team had left it. Messy. Violated. But hers. Maya showered. Changed into clean clothes. Made coffee. Her phone, returned with her belongings, had 217 messages. News outlets requesting interviews. Lawyers offering representation. Strangers offering support. And one message from Morrison. She almost deleted it. But curiosity won. I'm sorry. For what it's worth, I tried to protect you. But the operation was bigger than both of us. I hope you can forgive me someday. I hope I can forgive myself. Maya stared at the message. Felt nothing. Morrison might have believed he was doing the right thing. Might have justified his choices as necessary evils. But he'd still framed her. Still tried to destroy her life. Sorry wasn't enough. She deleted the message. The trial lasted 3 months. The government charged Maya with unauthorized access to classified information, theft of government property, obstruction of justice, her defense, whistleblower protection, public interest, duty to report crimes. The jury deliberated for 2 days. Not guilty. On all counts, the courtroom erupted, reporters shouting questions, supporters cheering. Maya stood quietly, feeling the weight lift. She'd won. Outside the courthouse, she gave one statement. I'm a federal agent. I swore an oath to protect this country, to uphold the Constitution. And when I found evidence of crimes, serious crimes that endangered American lives, I did my duty. I reported it. And for that I was punished. I was raided, arrested, charged with crimes I didn't commit. She paused, looked directly at the cameras, but the truth won. The people involved in the Henderson operation are being investigated. Some have already been charged. American intelligence operations are being reformed, and that's what matters. Not me, not my career. The truth. A reporter shouted, What's next for you, Agent Washington? Maya smiled. I'm going back to work, because there's still more to do, still more corruption to uncover, still more truth to tell. 6 months later, Maya sat in her new office, Supervisory Special Agent Financial Crimes Unit. They'd offered her Morrison's old position. She'd almost said no, but then she'd realized someone needed to rebuild that unit. To restore trust. To prove that the Bureau could police itself. Might as well be her. David Chen was her second in command. They were interviewing candidates for the team, looking for people who valued truth over politics, justice over careerism. It was slow work, painful work, but necessary. Maya's phone rang. Unknown number. She almost didn't answer, but something made her pick up. Agent Washington, this is Sarah Webb from Internal Affairs. We met briefly during your situation. I remember. I'm calling because we've identified additional evidence. Another operation, similar to Henderson. Possibly even bigger, and we need someone we can trust to investigate. Maya leaned back in her chair, looked out her window at the DC skyline. Tell me more, she said. Epilogue 2 years after the raid. Maya stood at a podium. The FBI Academy auditorium was packed with new agents. Fresh faces, bright eyes, people who still believed in justice. She'd been asked to speak, to tell her story. "I want to talk to you about the jacket," she began. Confused looks from the audience. "When they raided my apartment at 2 a.m., when they pointed guns at me and called me a criminal, there was a moment when everything could have gone differently. A moment when my life could have ended either literally or figuratively." She paused, let the tension build. "And the thing that saved me was an FBI jacket, hanging by my door, with 3 letters on the back, FBI. Those letters made them stop, made them question, made them realize they'd made a terrible mistake. But here's what I learned. It's not the jacket that makes you an agent. It's not the badge or the gun or the authority. It's the choice you make when facing corruption, when facing injustice, when facing people who tell you to look the other way." Maya looked out at the young faces. "Some of you will face that choice. Maybe not as dramatically as I did, but you'll face it. And on that day, you'll have to decide, are you the kind of agent who wears the jacket, or the kind who earns it? I hope you choose to earn it. Every single day. Even when it's hard. Especially when it's hard." She stepped back. The auditorium erupted in applause. Afterward, a young black woman approached. Early 20s, nervous. "Agent Washington, I just wanted to say thank you for what you did, for showing people like me that we can do this job, that we can make a difference." Maya smiled, remembered being that young, that hopeful. "You can," she said. "You will. Just remember, respect isn't given because of a title or a badge. It's earned by doing what's right, even when everyone's telling you you're wrong." The young woman nodded, walked away with her head higher. Maya watched her go, felt something warm settle in her chest. Pride, hope, purpose. She'd been broken down, violated, threatened, almost destroyed. But she'd survived. And in surviving, she'd made the Bureau better, made the system better, one case at a time, one truth at a time. Her phone buzzed. Text from David. "Got a lead on the new case. Might be big, you free?" Maya smiled. She texted back, "Always. Let's get to work," because that's what agents do. Real agents. The ones who earn the jacket, they get to work. They find the truth and they never, ever stay quiet. The end. If this story made you feel something, if Maya's fight for truth moved you, angered you, or inspired you, then I need you to do something. Hit that subscribe button. Not for me, but because stories like this matter. True stories about courage, about standing up to corruption, about refusing to be silenced. Share this video. Tell someone who needs to hear it. Comment below and tell me, what would you do if you were Maya? Would you take the deal and walk away, or would you fight? Because here's the truth, there are real Mayas out there. Real whistleblowers. Real agents fighting corruption from inside. And they need us to pay attention, to listen, to support them. So subscribe, ring that notification bell, and stay tuned for more stories that matter. Stories about ordinary people doing extraordinary things. Stories about truth winning against all odds. Until next time, stay curious, stay brave, and never forget, the jacket doesn't make the agent. The choices do.